Good morning, everybody. What is going on, all you stylists from the break room? Good morning, man. Do we got a show today? We are talking Lightners. We are talking new stylist start guide part 2. We've got a show coming up this Monday in Downers Grove. Sold out. The June 16th is another date we've put together. We've been talking about it. It is selling like a hotcakes. Go to htbbeauty.com and get yourself a spot for June 16th before those all run out. Because at the rate they're going, this one is going to be sold out as well, too. Good morning, John. How are you, buddy?
I was just gearing to our intro music, so I was loving it. I love that, dude. When I go, when they finally lower me into the ground, I want you to play that intro. That's your job.
Whoa.
Anyway, I'm doing great. Really, it's been an awesome. Last week was an awesome week in the salon. It was awesome. So many good things. I am pumped. I'm pumped for this upcoming Monday. We have all our ducks in a row. We're going to give them a whole ton of education. And we're also going to, sweeten the pot a little bit for the people that attend. We're not giving away any surprises. Yeah, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. Too much caffeine. Sorry. As I drink more. I haven't asked you in a couple of episodes. How was your week, Eddie?
It's tiring. Very, very tiring. It's
you're like our Eeyore.
What's that?
You're Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
It's interesting because we do the motivation every week. And then it's like, you got to follow your own advice and you got to be motivated. And then you've been saying this to me lately. You're like, you don't know how I do it, with so much on our plates. You're like, right. You don't know how I do it. And now I'm thinking about it. It's like, yeah, I don't know how I'm doing this anymore either.
All I'm saying is, if you ever decide to give up this business, you could definitely get hired at a circus for juggling the way you juggle.
But it's fun. Like, that's why we keep doing it, because it's fun. It is motivational. It does keep us going. So it's wild. All the way around, it's wild. So at the end of the day, look, it could always be worse. It could always get better. In the moment now is where we are. Enjoy it while it lasts, because once it's gone, poof, right? And all you can do is say, I had it.
Yeah.
Wow, I just come up with the motivation for this week, too.
There we go. We're doing it in reverse order this week?
Apparently. Let's get to this then. Let's do this. What do we got?
Let's do this. Give me.
What do we got? Where did I put it? What screen is it on? Oh, here's one. What is the primary purpose of using a filler before applying What is the primary purpose of using a filler before applying a darker color on pre-lightened hair? Is it to speed up processing? Is it to close the cuticle? Is it to replace underlining pigment and ensure even deposit? Or is it to remove residual toner?
It is going to be, it'll be C. It is, you're putting in underlying pigment and you're actually putting pigment in that hair to attach your target color to.
Fun follow-up question, because we were just talking about this last week after the live. Do you apply the filler? Do you wash the filler out before you apply the target color over it?
There are two schools of thought for that. There are two schools of thought. I do not, most of the time, depending on the porosity of the hair. But I also, filling I mean, there's also the third follow-up question to that is how many do you go on level with your filler or do you go lighter with your filler?
That's something that's being discussed and debated right now heavily as well too. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting.
But the thing to remember, and if you had your handy dandy all nutrient color book, and if you open up the front page, you can see where color lives at what level. So that helps you out drastically. Sorry, I had to do it. I'm sorry, man.
You are not allowed to do the live stream from the salon anymore.
So yeah, but there are two actually, and then the person that trained me 1,000 years ago when there were color lines that actually made fillers. They were designed solely as fillers. She would towel blot off the filler and then put the target color on. So, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. It's where your comfort level is. For me, I always look at the porosity of the hair, and that tells me whether I'm going to be rinsing this or am I going to be leaving this.
I mean, it's really, we talk about texture, density, and porosity all the time. You also got to consider where are you going with your target shade? Everybody gets so focused on the procedure all the time. What is the end result going to be? Is it really going to be that much darker? Because if it is, then nothing really matters. If it's going to be lighter, then it does matter. Then you got to pay attention to it. Maybe you do want to go a little lighter on the filler so you don't get too dark by the time you get to your target shade, There's so many different variables involved. But I think we lose sight of the big picture sometimes because we're too focused on each individual step.
I agree.
You just got to kind of do a little bit of everything.
I agree.
So then, which cutting technique is used to remove bulk and create movement in thick, heavy hair without altering the overall shape? Point cutting, slide cutting, notching, or internal layering?
Ooh, I'm going to go with, that's a good one. Ooh, stump the fat guy.
You want me to read it back to you again?
No, I'm going to go with point cutting.
When cutting, which cutting technique is used to remove bulk and create movement in thick, heavy hair without altering the overall shape?
I don't know the answer to this.
So point cutting is going to remove the overall shape.
You think?
Well, absolutely. You're going to destroy your design line. You're going to shatter your design
line.
Yeah.
Okay. I see that. Yeah. Okay. I was wrong. I was incorrect.
Slide cutting is not going to remove. It is going to remove bulk, yes, but again, it's going to collapse the overall shape. Notching, if you're going to pick it up and notch into it, will remove bulk, but will also collapse it if you go too heavy with the notching. So then you're only left with internal layering, because with internal layering, you can leave the top, you could leave the design line bottom, you can go in through the interior and do as soft layering or as heavy layering as you need to create as much or as little movement as you want.
Okay, I'll go with that. Okay. I have nothing else to say.
A little bit. I went a little high. I tried to put a little twist on the quiz this week.
I like it. I didn't. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yep, I'll go with it. I agree.
I guess I have to make a note to self. Maybe when I come up with these quiz, I shouldn't just throw responses in there. I should actually come up with an answer myself just to be on the safe side. If you don't know, I trust too much that you're going to know the answer. So I had to talk that whole thing out with you right now.
I was. And see, but once again, if we could go back with this, just like to what we were talking about with filling, there are so many. That's a cool part about what we do. there are so many ways to get to where we want to be.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
It is 100%.
So I get that. And just attacking ahead with your texturizing shears is not the answer.
Although it is my favorite thing to do, it's not always the answer. It's not always the
No one tease cuts the way you do.
All right, now here's one for you.
Okay.
When using a flat iron to curl the hair, which factor affects the tightness of the curl the most? Is it the iron's color, the length of the hair, the angle and speed of your wrist movement, like how you're going through it, or the number of sectioning, how you section the hair?
The angle and speed. Am I right?
A lot of people, yeah, because I was in a class and for whatever reason, I don't know. I was doing an in salon. That's why. And I didn't take my flat iron with me, which is, I usually use a 1-inch, plate, right? So at that salon, they had a 2 and they had a 3-inch plate. Remember those big, chunky, monkey little dudes, right?
Come on, really?
So
I've been looking for one of those.
Oh, man. The stylist, she goes, you know what? I want to put some curls. We were doing some stuff. And then afterwards, she wanted to style the hair. And she goes, I don't have a curling iron, with me. And I only have this one fat flat iron. I'm not going to be able to curl the hair. Well, why not? You could totally curl the hair. It's not going to be as easy or as comfortable, but you could do it. And she's like, what are you talking about? Give me this, straight in, go in. And you're just, yes, you have a wider plate, but you're only focusing on the one edge of it.
Right.
And you just got to bend it a little harder and you got to muscle through it a little bit more, but yeah, sure.
Right. Dude, I got to show everybody something. Hold on. I'm going to jiggle my camera for just a minute. I've been doing a ton of smoothings lately and a client brought me in a gift. Because she has those little fine downy hairs in the front, So she brought me this teeny tiny little flat iron. Check this thing out. This thing is awesome for those teeny tiny little hairs that you can't really grab even with the 1.5, with your iron. And this thing works freaking amazing.
Was that like a half-inch plate?
Yeah, it's so awesome.
Yeah.
Because she brought it in for me and she's like, I'm scared you're going to burn me. So here, I bought this for you. She went to Cosmoprof and bought it. How cool is that? But yeah. So angle and speed.
Went to Cosmoprof and bought a flat iron?
Yeah, she's got a license. She doesn't do hair anymore.
Oh, okay. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. No, she doesn't do hair anymore.
Gotcha. Okay, that part of the conversation makes. Well, I was about to have a lot of questions.
Yeah, but how cool is that? But yeah, but it's your angle and your speed.
Super cool.
Definitely.
All right, you're a new stylist. We were talking about this last week, and when you get started in the industry and everything, right?
Yep.
So this week we're continuing the conversation, and we're talking about building a portfolio, networking, and specializing. So building a portfolio is easy enough. How do you show off your work? Networking sounds easy enough. How do you connect with people? And I just lost my train of thought. And then do you choose a specialty? So they all sound easy enough, but there is nuances to each one of them.
Absolutely.
Which one do you want to tackle first?
Let's just go in order. Let's start with the portfolio. Now, because a portfolio for you and me when we started, that was a completely different animal than what these guys have to deal with now. You and I were just talking about this. I remember I had my portfolio. It looked like someone's wedding album, right? And you'd have to get people that would want to go and do a photo shoot with you. right? And either you were out in the woods or you were in front of a brick wall because you were, edgy and urban. You did all of that, and you had this portfolio that you would show your clients. And I remember
Then you had to go to the 1 hour processing and sit there and wait for the pictures to see if they came out right.
yep,
So you'd have to go back
yep,
and take more pictures.
yep, absolutely. And it wasn't, and you're paying a left lung for 1 hour processing.
But
But
that was
yeah,
a Kodak moment.
now with your cell phone, you could take, you could fill you, and you don't even. I don't know anybody around me that has a portfolio book. They have their Insta, they have their Facebook, they have their TikTok or whatever. I don't know all of them. Okay, I'm old and I'm slightly ignorant. I literally, for my business, I have a girl that does this for me. We trade services. That's networking, but we'll get into that in a minute. But now, I mean, you can snap pictures of your clients before and after. Boom, boom, boom. You build that portfolio out beautifully, and also then your social media, your professional social media, which is another subject all in itself about separating your professional from your personal. But your professional social media then becomes your lookbook, your digital business card. It is your digital business card. It is truly a very valuable tool and part of your business.
Yep.
Which then just segues right over into the next subject, which is, well, I'm sorry. Do you have anything to say on that?
So
I'm
yeah,
running my
before we
mouth.
get into the networking part of it, here's a couple of tips and here's a couple of tricks, if you will. A lot of the phones nowadays have built-in editing programs. You could create collages, you can do filters, you could do touch-ups, you could crop, you could do simple stuff. You can even add things on top of other stuff too. So a lot of the phones nowadays use the technology to your advantage if that's the simplest way of doing it. If you're a little more tech savvy, get on the computer, and there are programs that you can use that will, I mean, look, Photoshop is like some hardcore editing. You could pretty much do anything on there, right?
Right.
But you don't have to go that extreme with it. You can use web-based programs as well too. Like, for example, Canva is a web-based program. Like, we're not sponsored or anything, so I'm just giving free advertising here. But it is a very user-friendly web-based application, program. And you could be anywhere, and you could do it with anything too. And again, the interface is very intuitive. It's very simple. So they have some free stuff. You got to pay for some stuff, but either way, it depends what level and how serious you want to be with it. Now, here's another tip. A lot of people are always, I think us hairdressers make a bit more big to do about the background than the actual clientele. But the background does help. If you have a nice background, it does feed the overall picture that much better. Okay. You could simply get a green bed sheet. In the lowest buy-in, the most cost-effective way to go about this, you could literally get a green background, get a bed sheet. Now, if you want to spend a couple of bucks, go get a nice backdrop. A nice heavy cloth backdrop. The reason why I'm saying green, that's what they do in the movies with the green screen. And then you could just cut out that background and drop in, and you can make it look like you were out on a boat in the freaking ocean taking a picture, on holiday. And then you could redo the same picture 2 seconds later and make it look like, I don't know, you were, like we were talking about, you were in the wilderness, you were in nature, or you were in that industrial brick setting, whatever it is. So that's a couple of tips that I'm going to throw out there, because with filtering and editing nowadays, you don't know what the hell is real and what the hell isn't.
Right. See, back in the day when I first started working in the big salon, our salon owner was a big proponent of photo shoots, and he would pay for the photographer to come in, and then you would just have to pay for your prints. of what you liked. But I mean, we would take a Monday, and he did set up backdrops, and he would pay for the photographer to come in, and it was some of the fun. I mean, we had a lot of fun doing it too back then. And there's nothing wrong with doing a photo shoot every now and then too, because that's a completely different level of hairdressing, you know, and and just and it's really cool to see your work under all that lighting and everything, and the smell of hairspray because everybody's shellacking everything into place. It was fantastic. We had such a good time. Eternally grateful to him for that, because that gave me some experience that I didn't have up until that point. And then that launched out into other things. But and doing it and getting a couple of stylists together and on a Sunday or a Monday, and you could do it with your phones and take pictures for each other too, because everybody's phone is so different. Not everybody, and you can really, boost up that book 100%.
Yeah. And a ring light. Invest in a ring light at a minimum.
Yep.
Get a ring light. If you can't afford nice lighting and stuff like that, invest in a ring light. Those
$30 on Amazon. They're dirt cheap, 100%.
So now you got these pictures. What are you doing with these pictures? How are you networking with these pictures?
Well, I think that, like I said, building up your professional Insta or your professional social media, and then that's how when you meet people and you start networking with people, I don't ever stop. I mean, I was in the gym this morning and I was talking with a guy, one of the personal trainers, and he's like, "Hey, how do we team up?" And him and I were talking, and I said, "Here's go to my Instagram. This is some of the work I've done." And he's like, "Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome." And he goes, and he was asking me about, how'd you start this off? And I said, I started it off with one picture, and I said, but I did tell him, I said, I have a girl that does this for me now because there'd just be pictures of my dog. Okay. Look how I parted my dog's hair today, actually I put him in touch with her. It takes a village, right? Networking is probably one of the most important things you can do, because you can have all the social media in the world. You can be insanely talented, but really, what's the biggest, quickest way to build your clientele, Eddie?
Word of mouth, man.
Word of
People
mouth.
gotta be talking about you.
Word of mouth. And this goes back, I touched on it last week, and you and I both are big proponents of word of mouth. So how do I network and get people in my chair? When I switched and I moved over to here, the first thing I did is I went to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and I offered all the board members a discount for first-time service. Out of the 8 of them, I got 6 of them.
Okay.
And now 5 of them are still regular clients. Okay. That doesn't mean each time they come in, they get a discount, but they got an initial discount, which gave them an opportunity to expose themselves to me. And that's a simple way to do it. And I'm old school, and I still hand out business cards. And I will write on the back of the business card, I'll give someone 20% off first time service, whatever it takes, whatever. How about a free, if you come in and get your color done, I'll do a free gloss on you. I'll do a free conditioning treatment, whatever comes to mind. But that's really how it is, because then they're going to tell their friends and you get exposed to their network. Now, with that being said, if we're using social media too, I always ask my clients, hey, friend me on social media, because then that opens me up to their social media circle. And then if some of their friends become my friends, it becomes another circle and and then next thing you know, you've got all these circles that your stuff is going to be popping up in, right?
Absolutely. And in addition to all of that too, we don't realize how we have conversations with people on a daily basis. As simple as this, you go to Starbucks or you go to Dunkin' Donuts or you go to whatever coffee shop you go to get yourself morning, drink and breakfast, right? When somebody says, "Hey, how are you? How is everything?" We usually, "Oh yeah, no, that's fine. How are you?" "Oh, lovely weather we're having. Great day for fishing." It's like, it's such a lame social interaction cue because that's just what we're supposed to do. Well, take that one step further. Every time I go through the drive-through and I get to the front, the owner always comes over, "Hey, buddy, how are you?" And the reason why he does that these days is because in the beginning he was just being customer service. "Hey, how are you? Thank you for stopping by today." I'm like, "Oh man, thank you so much. This is really going to give me that fix that I'm going to need at the salon today." That's how I would always respond to him in the beginning. And he'd be like, "Salon, what's the salon?" Like the guy that had no idea what I was talking about. Coincidentally, I work down the street at this salon right here, down the street from you guys. I tell my clients all the time to come over here and get coffee from you. And by the way, your apple fritters are freaking delicious, And the guy, just like that little compliment, and the guy was like, "Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, blah, blah, blah." So then I start telling clients, and I was telling clients their apple fritters are freaking delicious. They are. So then I was telling them, like, "Hey, next time you go to Dunkin' Donuts, just if you see," because he was the only guy there. So I'm like, "If you see a guy, that's the owner. Tell him, thank you. This is delicious. Eddie says hi from the salon." Again, nothing to do with this guy's business whatsoever. But now, "Hey, how are things going? How's business? How's things by the shop?" I send my, I told my daughter's friend, like, you never know where that business is going to come from. And that's just one simple example. But that interactions, think about how many of those interactions you have. You go shopping for clothes. When you're at the checkout, "Oh, did you find everything okay?" "Yeah, this outfit's going to be a banger on Saturday at the salon. Like I'm really looking forward to wearing this, to work." You girls talking to girls. I mean, you're going to start interacting with each other all the time. I see my wife, man, she goes to these, oh God, what's the name of the damn store? The younger clothing store that I don't know anything about fashion. 21 or
Forever 21.
That doesn't sound right. I don't know. Whatever. What if you start naming a couple? I'm sure it'll sound familiar. But yeah,
well, if it's Carmelina, it's wherever they sell Hello Kitty things.
I got it. The shop of Satan. It's. But yeah, she has these conversations with these people at the register. They're all young girls too. All you start interacting. That's networking at its finest, right then and there.
Yep.
Now, when they say, "Oh, you work at a salon," what do you do there? Do you do everything, or do you specialize in one specific type? How do you respond when you get asked that question? Because when people ask me, they're like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "You know what? I'll do a little bit of everything. What are you looking for?" But man, I tell you, hair extensions and hair color is my absolute favorite thing to do.
Because I was a colorist for 28 years, quote unquote, but I never let the other skills escape me because everything works hand in hand. So now being on my own and doing everything, but still, I always tell people color is my wheelhouse, and then I cut hair extensions. So I specializing. If you're feel strong in something, chase it down, but don't forget about your other skills. Because people used to ask me all the time, "Well, aren't you mad? Don't you feel like you're wasting? Because you're only specializing." I don't know. I mean, I did very well for a really long time specializing. If you feel strongly enough about it, then go for it. Get after it. See, that's why specializing is not a hot button topic for me, because there are people that are specialists. Look, the way I always looked at it is, if I have the flu, I go to my GP. I go to my regular doctor, right?
Okay.
And then when I tore the ligaments in my right knee, I went to my orthopedic doctor, right? He's specialized. He's still an MD, but he's specialized in that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I firmly believe chasing down what really resonates with you and where your passion is. Is that the best? That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, it really is.
If you're passionate about something, heck yeah. I mean, look at our buddy Bernard. Look at Bernard. Bernard was a hairdresser, and then he solely went into hair replacement and extensions, right? And the man has done very well for himself. And there are a lot of people in a million salons that specialize and do very well for themselves. So if it's a passion, chase it, but don't forget about your other skills, though. Keep them up, and which falls right back into education. There's nothing wrong with being doing cut and cut, being a hair cutter and styler, or I don't know what that's called, but a stylist, for lack of a better term, and then still taking color classes, or being a colorist and still taking cutting classes, or get certified in hair extensions. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with combing hair either, and learning how to do all other aspects of the business.
Well, maybe. It all depends. It all depends.
Well, you could learn how to lighten for once. You could do.
You know what? You know where I learned a lot of my lightning from?
Don't you do it?
My handy dandy all nutrient color book.
So what is it about that book that taught you about lightning?
Look at this. Wait, we're going to get right back to it. First things first is look at this right here, which tells you where color lives.
Okay.
Come on. Here, you want to get closer? Get close up. Look.
What?
Okay.
Why are you excited about that? Why does that matter?
Because knowing where color lives when you're lightning helps your toning big time.
Does it really help your toning though? Because doesn't the toner just magically color to what you want it to be?
Well, I know toner is magic, okay? It is magic. Okay? I've only lightened someone to a level 7, but I'm going to put toner on it and make it a level 9, okay? Why do I follow you down these rabbit holes?
Because it's fun, man. It's fun, man.
Look,
that's what we do.
Yeah,
this is our life.
Yeah, and we're just teasing. Look, toners are another tool, a very valuable tool that we have. But let's talk about lighteners. Let's talk about one of my favorite lighteners. Wait, I have a sample. The All Nutrient Blue Lightener.
Okay.
Chuck better send me a check. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So, and I know you love the Blue Lightener just as much too.
We're completely off the rails right now. All right, we're doing Blue Lightener from All Nutrient. Here we go. What is it? What is it about the Blue Lightener from All Nutrient? No. To hell with it. We're going totally off the rails right now.
What is it about you were segueing. Are we not segueing?
Does it taste good?
I haven't eaten it, but I know you have. I know you've tasted it.
I know. Is the powder is it a fine powder? Is it a thick powder?
It's a fine powder. It's a dedusted powder. When you open this up, you're not going to get that big puff of product.
Does that matter?
Huh?
Does it being dedusted matter?
Yes, it matters. It mixes up to a beautiful, creamy consistency.
So if it's not dedusted, what? It comes out chunky? You can't mix it?
It can be if you don't mix it correctly.
Is that important? Does that affect lift?
Sure it does, because on even application, they're big shoots. I don't know. What are you just slapping chunks of bleach into foils?
It's like when you're making pancakes and you end up with that chunk on the griddle. you know, you
You,
have like a nice even pancake going, and then you have like that one little mountain in the middle there.
look,
Yeah.
I first off, as someone, being on my own and really watching, and I'm gonna be an owner for a minute and watching my bottom line of monies. All nutrient lightener, first off, cost per application is a lot less than another lightener that I use that I will not mention any names. My cost per application, first off, results that I get with the blue lightener, and everybody hold on to your hats, and 40 volume, because I do foil some people with 40 volume, and I don't blow their hair up, also is unparalleled, first off, as far as I'm concerned. Second off, lightener control.
Okay.
Lightener control added to the bleach, the lightener, sorry, should say bleach. Bleach is a bad word. The lightener control added.
Hold on a minute. Time out. You realize bleach is not a bad word. You realize they're two different things. Lighteners and bleaches are completely two different animals. They work completely different from each other.
I know, but people will refer to a lightener as such as bleach.
The two words have become synonymous with each other because there's
Correct.
this mentality out there that people think like, oh, it's all the same. They're completely all right. Look, sidebar for a minute here. Let's talk about
Yeah.
how many levels do you know the difference? How many levels will a bleach lift? On average, a bleach lifts 7 to 9 levels. A lightener
Right.
only will lift 5 to 7 levels. It's a huge difference. Bleaches are sulfates and ammoniated. Right. Lighteners are not.
Correct.
Huge difference in the approach during the lifting action. Now, people argue with me, yeah, but you could still get damage. Yeah, you could still get damage. Absolutely, 100%. What developer are you activating it with, and how wet are you leaving your product? Because a lightener and or a bleach, whichever one you're choosing to use, will only remain active as long as it's wet, as long as it has moisture in it. So manufacturer directions for a lot of brands is to mix it equal parts, but that makes it nice and thick and it dries out very quickly. And people, stylists are like, I don't like that. That's a crap ratio. I can never get any lift out of it. Well, that's kind of the whole point. They're trying to make sure that it will stop working after 20 minutes. It is not intending to leave lighteners or bleaches on for an extended period of time. The longer you leave it on, the more chances there are for damage and breakage. Well, then we get up with our own concoctions and we're going 2 to 1 and 3 to 1, and we're making smoothies out of these things, and they're like, oh, the hair broke off. This product sucks. I must have got a bad batch. And it's like, no, you don't know how to mix. You don't know Ascension. Like, you don't know anything, man. So like you brought up that lightener control, for example. That's an awesome product. You want to take that lightener control. What is it about that control? Why is it called lightener control at a minimum?
Okay. Lightener control is a protective lightning compound. In here, added to your lightener will first off give you a uber smooth consistency. Okay. Second off, it has hydrants in it, and I hate to use the term, but it'll act just like a bond builder, but it'll protect your bonds and keep the lightener first off from drying out. Okay. Second off, what it'll do is give you that velvety smooth application and help protect the hair so you can extend your lightning time. Okay. Does it alter the The volume of peroxide, no, it does not alter the volume of peroxide. It will not interfere that way, the way some of your bond builders will, where you have to, then either up your peroxide or decrease your peroxide or whatever goes on with the bond builders. And the best part about it is the hair will feel when you take that, if you've just taken straight lightener off the hair and felt how rough that cuticle is, you will not have that feeling with this. And also, it's great because you rinse it off, you prep the hair for whatever toning you're going to do, and it'll actually help with the porosity, even with equalizing the porosity of the hair too, where you get that nice even tone. And it's not, oh crap, I got to run a little more through the ends or a little more closer to the scalp, whatever it may be. You'll get that nice even application with your toners. That's Lightner Control. Lightner Control by All Nutrient. God, why have I become such a shill for All Nutrient?
Mr. Handy Dandy over here. That's what you get, You must be motivated. What is it that motivates you about All Nutrient, or just?
You know what? I've been look. All right, we're gonna go sideways here. Okay. I still remember 18 years ago, Darren coming in and handing me this plastic bag with All Nutrient in it. And it's like, that's a new color line. You try it out. And I'm like, yeah, okay, Darren, okay. And I threw it up on a shelf, and I just forgot about it. And then another an All Nutrient rep came in, and she was like, yeah, All Nutrient cures cancer, or whatever. And I was like, yeah, okay, great, yeah, it's right up there. I'll get to it eventually. And then you came in and tried to fight me.
Is this how the story is going to go? How interesting. Let me get some popcorn over here. Let's hear this version of this story.
and then
you got scared, and now you're an All Nutrient shill.
Well, wait, no, we're on the story. I'm at the salon. People are waving at me. Here's the deal. Eddie came in, and I threw him out. I said, go away, because the All Nutrient person that was there beforehand was not very good. And I threw Eddie out, and Eddie got his feels hurt and came back the next day because he was going to fight me. And then we decided that we had more in common, and we decided not to fight. We'll just leave it at that. And you were actually,
by the way.
Huh?
That was good networking, by the way.
That was great networking. Because if you weren't wearing that jacket, you would have got a beat down. Anyway. So anyway, and then I went, okay, I like this guy. I'm gonna try this color. And I tried the color, and it blew my doors off. It really did. And then now All Nutrient is my main color line here. And I love it. I love the way my clients' hair feels. People that I have taken All Nutrient, taken them from whatever color line they were using before to All Nutrient, all say the same thing. Why does my hair feel so good? Isn't color bad for your hair? Don't you love that comment? Isn't color bad for your hair? And then when I switch them from whatever lighteners that were being used on lighteners / bleach, they were using on them before, they're like, why is my hair so soft? Why does my hair feel so good? When I used to get highlights before, my hair was always stiff or whatever. And you can't argue with it. You can't argue with the product. And that's why I've become a shill for All Nutrient. I better get a check. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough.
And once again, you can't beat guys' cost per application. And if you couple it with Lightner Control, one scoop, I can do a full foil with.
Whoa!
If I couple it with Lightner Control, one scoop. Look, I used to work in a dispensary where I'd watch people with other bleaches who 2.5 scoops, then they're adding developer, and it's half a freaking bowl of developer. I'd be like, are you painting a wall? And then what would happen? They'd come back in with maybe about half of it gone and
Wow.
just throw it in the sink. That's just a waste of product. You
I
know,
can't even imagine the product being able to breathe nicely, you know,
that
to
that either.
process
That
nicely.
either.
That's wild.
You know, my favorite is because, when they put me in charge for a little while, I would come in with my jack boots on, and I would take one of those bowls and I would move it around, and it would still be dry on the bottom.
That's what I'm saying.
What?
That
Oh,
sounds crazy. Yeah, right?
so so I guess the whole thing is the bottom line of this whole conversation is mixing your lightener correctly and using. There is nothing wrong with using what you've got and going, excuse me for 1 second, I gotta go mix a little more. There is nothing wrong with that. Also, I mean, that falls into color too. Saying you hit a hot button. See, look at the smile. He knows he hit a hot button topic with me. Thank you. Thank you.
Poke the bear, poke the bear, poke the bear.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It's okay, Edie. So you got the motivation this week, or do you want me to?
Let's see. Motivation. Well, my motivation is a story. I don't have a quote.
Give us a story. Come on, let's go.
I went to go teach a class, and the host was renting a center. You know, they were renting a room in one of these centers. You know, like a civic center type thing. So confirm everything. Okay, everything sounds great. Everything is set up, no problem. Well, we show up and everybody's standing outside. So I walk up, hey, how are you? Some people I've seen from prior classes before, some new faces. So, I got my backpack with all my equipment in it. And then I got I'm holding the mannequin stand. I got the mannequin head. One of the stylists goes, let me guess, you're our presenter tonight. I'm like, you're very observative. Are you a detective? So we're having a little laugh, all that stuff. And now the main lady who's in charge of hosting the event shows up. She walks up and she goes, I think they forgot about us. Like, the doors are locked. We can't get in. There's nobody here. I can't get a hold of anybody. What are we going to do? Now, because you've been on the hosting side with me dozens of times. Can you imagine the anger, the frustration, the fear going through her mind right now as she's the host? That is the kiss of death if there is ever one. She's saying that to me, and that realization is sinking in my mind, and I'm putting myself in her shoes, and I'm going, oh, I would be out for blood. I would be out for blood. She's actually holding it together really well right now, but you could see it in her eyes. She does not have it together. She's just, like you're almost like got in that defeated moment. Like, what what am I supposed to do with this situation, right? So I go, I used to own a salon a number of years back, and ComEd, the power went out one time. We just dragged the styling chairs outside onto the sidewalk, and we just started doing hair outside. And people were walking, we're in a strip mall. People were walking by going, what the hell's going on over here? They stopped by. We drew like a crowd. Freaking local TV news station stopped by and did a whole story on us. They got to report about the power outage anyways, right? What a way to report. You got this whole action thing going on. So I told her, I said, it's a beautiful day. Let's just do it right here. Let's sit on the grass. Let's walk around and see. Do they have any park benches around here or anything? We're going doing a lap around the center, and they just happen to have like a little pavilion set up in the side over there. Yeah. Drag a couple of park bench from over there, grab a couple of park bench from over there, created a nice little auditorium thing, right? I went and grabbed the garbage can and pulled that forward too, and that became my podium. I didn't care. I can't smell anyway, so if it was stinky or not, I have no idea. What do I know? And it just becomes like an outdoor event, like an outdoor concert event, right? And I was making a joke about it too, because we're inside the pavilion. It's starting to echo and reverb a little bit. I'm like, oh, cool. Look, we got acoustics. Everybody's got the best seat in the house. And you just see the attitude of everybody go from frustrated, nervous, because then you got the stylist there too. This is the only night I have off. I took off for this night. I need my hours, right? So those are the attendees. And then you got the presenters and the host going, I don't know. I can't get a hold of anybody. I don't know what to do. So having that, I was making such a joke out of everything because I get it. I get it from both. And then look, okay. And then here's my side of it too. I drove all the way out there to do this presentation. Now there's about to be no presentation. Did I just drive out here for nothing? That was not my thought, but if you're a presenter, eventually that does become your thought as well too. But in the moment, that was not my thought at all. My whole thing was, all right, we're in a situation. What can we do about it? Like, that's just where my mind went to immediately, And I was like, yeah, let's do it outside. So now everybody's looking at me going, are you serious? Will you really do it? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We're going to do this. We're going to get you your hours. You're going to have your show. I'm going to have my presentation. Let's go. Let's do this. And it was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious. Right. And the whole time a train went by. So I'm talking and then all of a sudden I'm getting drowned out by the train. Well, guess what? I'm calling that out and I'm making fun of it.
Right.
This little kid on the bicycle goes by. Watch out. Like, all right, let's get out of the way. We got traffic. Freaking little kid on the bicycle, It's just like, whatever is happening, I don't care. People walking by. Oh, what are they doing over there? Hey, now we have a live audience. In addition to the live audience.
Right.
And the whole thing is, you just see the attitude. Like, it just took my goofiness and just my not buying into this is a crap situation. We're moving forward. This is what we're doing. And I'm having fun. I don't care about the rest of y'all, but I'm having fun doing this, And it's just that positivity starts off as a spark and it does become infectious eventually. Mm-hmm. Because the first 5-10 minutes of the presentation was trying to figure out what to do. Standing outside, all I have is a garbage can. I got nothing, I got my backpack on the floor. I'm bending over to grab things. Things are falling all over the place. I'm trying to use my pockets as a station, I don't have a table set up, right? So imagine trying to do a haircut and you just have nothing other than a stand.
Right.
It's a pain in the butt. But rather than complaining about it, I'm having a laugh. I think it's freaking hilarious, because it was hilarious. And the wind started blowing and I'm like, oh, cool. Here we go. I don't have to section. It's doing it for me. Like, I just calling out all the insanity of it all. You see the crowd start swaying your way. Now they're starting to have fun with it too.
Right.
Now the next wind gust that comes through, be like, is that a layer? And it's like, ha, funny. The next train comes. They're like, dude, we're trying to have a class over here. Hello. We're laughing at the next train that wends by. Like, just whatever insanity was happening, we were having a laugh instead of having another train.
Absolutely.
So in the attitude, it's hard to keep that positive attitude when everybody's being negative because the situation became a negative moment. It's hard to keep that spark of positive going. I don't know if you've ever found yourself in a scenario like that, but that's my story. I don't know.
I like it, but I think in a nutshell, attitude is everything.
Attitude,
If you have a positive attitude about something, even if it goes south, you stay positive with it. Eventually, it'll turn positive. It really will. The only story that I've got with that is this was a couple classes back what we were doing at the DoubleTree, and we got there to set up. And the poor kid behind the counter had no clue what was going on. We couldn't get into the room. He didn't know how to get into the room. And here I am walking on my knuckles. And this poor kid I thought he was going to get killed by me. And then you just walk in and you're like, hey, how's it going on? Next thing you know, the kid found the key, opened the room up. Yeah, you guys take your time, blah, 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 blah. You know, and it's all about your attitude and your presence. And the same thing with our clients. It's all about your attitude and your presence with your clients. I think that's awesome. I think that's a great story. I think that's a great way to end this out with us. If you guys want to support the podcast and support us, please go to HTB Beauty. Help HTB Beauty out. They are the driving force behind us. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we really want to help you guys make a big difference one client at a time. Definitely. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
The SFTB podcast was not recorded in front of a live studio audience, so thanks for joining us for today's episode. If our hair topics made you smile, give us a thumbs up. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'll read them while waiting for our caller to process. Share this video with your stylists and friends. It helps us make a difference, one strand at a time. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Because your hair deserves all the latest and greatest tips.